All right. Now it's 11. I was recording this podcast for the past 10 minutes, and yeah, did the audio just cut out at 3 minutes? And I didn't know that. And I was like, why is it not recording? And then I found out, yes. So today I wanted to talk about focus. It is Sunday. It is the day we post. I'm supposed to post in 53 minutes now instead of an hour and 10, which was what it was before. So I'm going to try to make this quick. But yeah, focus. That's the idea for today's podcast. And why I wanted to talk about it is, well, it's Sunday, the day it's supposed to get uploaded, and I'm recording it now, an hour before, or less than an hour before now. So yeah, focus is a prominent topic. And I'm struggling with focus because I have all of these goals that I want to accomplish. And I'm starting to learn that it's not that I have a lack of ambition, not that I have a lack of energy or drive, it's that I have a lack of time. I only have 24 hours in the day, 24 hours to get and work on all of my goals. And it's not enough. It hasn't been enough. And it annoys me because I do have all of these goals and I want to do them. And I do feel a sense of urgency. And I think that is the case with a lot of kids our ages. They feel a sense of urgency because they see all of these other people so successful online and so young, and they're like, well, I'm that age, or I'm close to that age, and I'm nowhere near that success. And maybe it's an ego thing because I know that I'm a smart person, but I'm like, I could do that. Like that's maybe I'm ignorant in thinking that. But I'm like, I could do that. I could do what they're doing. Me, like I could definitely do what they're doing. So I just need to work harder. I just need to do more. I just need to focus more. And I thought focus meant concentrating extremely hard doing the task you're doing. And while it does mean that sort of, it actually means something else. And it's what I learned from this podcast called The Diary of a CEO. Just watched this episode, and it was really helpful. It was with Robert Greene, author of 48 Laws of Power. And they pulled up a video that said focus is not, like we said, concentrating really hard. Focus is finding something that you really enjoy doing and ignoring and saying no to other things that you also really enjoy doing that you're excited to do. That's what focus is. Focus is saying no to the things you're excited about doing and focusing on one thing that you're excited about doing until that thing is successful. And to me, that's called prioritization. Yes, that's prioritization. But to me, that feels like giving up. And I know that sounds stupid. That's not giving up, Jason. That's focusing. But internally and selfishly, it feels like quitting. And I don't want to quit on my goals. For example, this podcast. I had the goal of posting one episode every day. Or not, one episode every week for this year. And that's my goal. That was my goal. It was not to scale up. But then, I got excited because I had my first, I had a good interview. I haven't done an interview in a while. And the scaling mindset immediately comes into mind. And I'm like, okay, next week, which would be this week, I'm going to go interview 20 people around campus. I'm going to ask them questions, edit this all together. I'm going to spend all this time. I'm going to change the thumbnails, change the whole style, make it a really fun, cool video. And while that idea really excited me, that wasn't the goal of this podcast, to scale up. Because while it does also equally excite me, if I were to have done that, if I were to have gone out, if I were to have recorded that podcast, it would have been fun. I would have enjoyed it. It would have been great. But then there would have been this fear. And not fear because I put in the time and effort to make it good and it will fail. I don't care if that happens. If it fails, it fails. I had fun doing it. That's all that matters. It would have been a fear that it would have done well. And now the expectation for these videos would have gone up. And again, back to the time thing. If there's a higher level of output expectation on you, I don't know if I have the time to then meet that higher level of expectation that I self-imposed on myself because I wanted to scale up, because I wanted to make it better. But that's not a bad thing to want to make it better. The bad thing is me trying to do too much where I don't have the time to make things better. For this podcast, I just want it to be fun. I'm just going to make it a goal of posting once a week. So if that means getting some guests on sometimes when I can, awesome. If that just means me talking to the camera straight up in less than an hour before on Sunday for it to go up, that's what I'm going to do, because that's what I made. The goal was, that was the promise I made to myself, once a week. I didn't make the promise to make these crazy podcast episodes, put all my effort into it, ignore all my other goals, because that's not what I want to do with this podcast. That's what I want to do eventually, but I have other goals that I'm working on right now that I've been working on prior to this podcast that I want to finish first, that I've had for longer, that I still haven't achieved yet. Once I get those done, and once I need to put more focus on those goals, then I can focus more on this podcast and make it successful, and then I'll have the time to actually deal with potential success that will come with it, the scaling that comes with it, the time, effort, energy that comes with making something good. But for now, I want it to be more of like, I'm checking in, it's like I'm checking in with a friend. It's a FaceTime with a friend. That's kind of how I want to treat it. And occasionally I'll have people on and we'll be talking, and it'll just be an interview type of thing. And I want to get my interview skills up. But that's kind of where I'm at with these goals. And I did this other thing. I made something recently. And I had fun doing it. It was really fun. And I was thinking about uploading it. And the idea of doing that scared me. It was the same thing I was talking about. When no one expects anything from you and you fail, it's like, who cares? And then if you win, they congratulate you. So you don't lose in either scenario. Once people start expecting you to win and then you fail, you've now not only lost in the minor sense, but you've also lost by letting everybody else down. Because they expected you to win. They may have had some things riding on that win. And now that you've lost, there's more pressure. And I don't know if I have the time, as I'm saying, to deal with that pressure, because I'm trying to do all these other things. And I think it's interesting that they say this term, spreading yourself thin. Because when you're thin and there's pressure, you will break. But if you are focused on one thing and most of your energy is going towards that one thing, there's more surface. No, there's not more surface area. There's more thickness, right? There's more of you there to deal with the pressure, to hold the weight of what you're striving towards so that you can be successful in that area. I think a lot of people in my age are lost. They don't know what they want to do with their life. They've maybe played a couple sports, and maybe they weren't going to be an athlete. Like, they were good at it, but they weren't great at it. They enjoyed it, but they didn't obsess over it. They didn't love it. And now they're in college because that's what society tells them to do. That's what their parents tell them to do. The parents are hoping, send them to college. They'll figure it out in those 4 years. They'll get a job, and then they'll move out of the house, and they'll be safe. They'll be secure. They'll have money. It'll be great. And so I think a lot of kids feel this sense of urgency in college, even more now, to establish yourself. You're in the adult world now. You're legally classified as an adult. So there's a weight that comes with that. The word. A seriousness that comes with it. And rightfully so. I mean, you're more responsible for yourself now. You're learning how to navigate the world without the helping hand of a parent. But at the same token, you were just a kid yesterday. And so to jump across 2 cliffs to the other side is going to be impossible. In one go. Again, time. Time heals all wounds. Time. So I'm learning that even more now, because I was never sure about college. I was uncertain if it would be worth the time. But I'm learning even more now. College is the time for me to grow up. College is the time for me to go from a kid to an actual, I hate saying, to go from a kid to being a man, to being an adult, to being the version of me that is who I know I can be. Developing the skills to be a human being, really. And so I need to figure out a practice for myself so that I can be a little bit more patient. Because I have so many things I want to do. And the problem with that is, because I'm struggling with this idea of focus, of saying no to them, there's very few people I can talk to. Because, like I said, a lot of people don't know what they want to do, or they're doing like one thing, and they're okay with it. I'm doing all these little side quests. And when I talk to my peers, they don't really relate. They can relate to the stress, the urgency, but they can't relate to at the level I have it on. They can't relate to the ability not to focus on one thing. They can't even find their one thing to focus on to begin with. So I don't have too many people I could turn to ask advice for this. And I came up with this analogy kind of quickly. I said, most people don't know what they want to do. I have too many things I want to do, so I can't take advice from most people. They see a forest while I'm driving in a roundabout trying to figure out which street do I go down, thinking I can tear myself apart and go down all of them. Yes, my lights did just shut out. Yes, I'm going to turn them back on. Give me a sec. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to tear myself into a bunch of different directions. And the past couple of days, I'm starting to realize that, like I said, I'm the only one expecting this outcome for myself because I've set the standard there. And setting high standards is not bad, but I'm the one who set the standard. Nobody's forcing me to do this. So I can change it if I want to. I don't need to marry the past version of my ideas if this new version of ideas or this new mindset is actually better for me. Just because I said it in the past that I was going to do this doesn't mean I can't change it in the future. And it's not out of periods of laziness, because I think the reason I'm having this problem is because there's always moments where you're like, oh, I don't want to go work out today, I'm tired. Or, oh, I don't want to go do this, I don't want to go do that. And that's laziness. That's what this is. That's what that is. That's laziness. And yeah, you ignore those thoughts because you set those goals. I'm going to work out 4 times this week. That you set that goal, so you're going to do it, even if you're feeling kind of tired. This is not that. And I think I'm trying to finally now see that. We do have this energy. It's not that fact that we're lazy. We do have this energy to do these goals. It's that we don't have the time to do them. And so it's not out of a period of laziness. It's actually out of a period of necessity, out of intelligence to focus. What I'm doing right now is not intelligent. And I need to focus on one thing and get that done. I'm still going to post a podcast once a week, but I need to say no to one of my goals for now so that I can focus on this other goal that I've been working on for the past 3 years, the book, and get it done. And then once that's done, I'll have all this time. And I'll have the book done. But I also just might not get this other goal done by the end of the year. But what's worse, not getting both goals done or getting one of them done and working on this other one and having more energy towards it and having even less stress? That seems smarter. And so I need to shut off this mentality that stopping working on it is giving up. I just made this connection just now in my head, actually. Maybe this is a common pattern with my personality in general, because I feel the need to, in a sense, check up on people. Check up on goals and check up on people. If I haven't touched a goal in a while, let me spend a little bit of time on this goal. Or I haven't talked to this person in a while, let me send them a text. And with relationships, that's great, because it helps you keep in touch with people, helps you catch up with people, it helps you maintain your connection with people. I think that's a good thing relationship-wise. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just send them a text. I haven't talked to you in a while. Like I did that last week. I haven't talked to you in a while. How are things going at insert college here? Or how are things going? And, they send a text back. Oh, things are great. How are they going for you? We have a little bit of a conversation and it's done. With goals, these are things that take hours and hours and hours and hours consistently over years. So I can't just be, let me just check in on this goal. Let me check in on this goal, because that's not how it works with goals. And I need to shut that mindset off for goals, and I need to completely switch it and be like, actually, let me just put all my energy into this one goal. And I think I might need to start doing that relationship-wise. Let me put all this energy into this one person for a period. And it's not something I've done. So it's not, it's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar, but I think it's necessary. It's a necessary mindset shift. And I'm slowly starting to have it. And that's another reason why I think college is so beneficial, is because I'm spending more time alone, I've noticed. A lot more time alone. But with that alone time comes more of these thoughts and more of these mindset shifts. And I think over the past couple of months, mentally and vision-wise, my mind has shifted significantly on what I prioritize, on what I'm okay with. I think in high school I was more of the type of person to just go to the thing because other people wanted me there, not necessarily because I wanted to be there. And I'm learning that, just say no, or don't even let yourself get in a scenario where the opportunity is presented and you have to say no and feel bad about it. Don't even go there. And I'm learning that, and it's actually much more freeing, and I'm enjoying life more. And it's weird from the outsider's perspective, because they think I'm not doing anything. They think I'm just in my room. But personally, and I'm learning that's what matters more, I feel more enjoyment on what I'm doing, and I'm happy with that. And the problem is I'm an overthinker. So then I think about, from an outsider perspective, I can also be seen as selfish. And then will I start losing my friends because I'm not hanging out with them as much? And because I'm not hanging out with them as much, will they not like me as much? Will I have less say in the group? Blah, 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 blah. And instead of worrying about these things, maybe I should be thinking, okay, yeah, say that happens. And is it necessarily a bad thing? I think I'm afraid of losing. All right, I'm trying to materialize this idea right now, because maybe I'm trying to hold on to everything. I'm trying to hold on to everything that I have or that I've collected over the years. I'm a collector. I'm trying to collect experiences, collect these goals, and I don't want to drop them. I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to lose, these goals, these things I'm working on. But maybe that's necessary for me to continue walking, because as I continue, I can't be picking up everything that looks cool on the journey. Because at some point it's going to be too heavy. Some things are just going to fall. Like, for example, my other goal, it falls, and I can pick it back up. But let me focus on this one thing, bring this one object to the bucket first, before I go and pick up the next one. I don't know if this is like, they make the jokes of like the mail trade or whatever of the grocery bags and trying to make it in one trip. That could be a stretch, but I think maybe that's just the way men's brains are wired, because we have noticed that, like, especially over the past 20, 30 years, more women have gone to college than men. Women are succeeding at a higher rate and faster than men. So maybe that is the mentality issue, is we try to do too much. Or we're the one-trip grocery people instead of maybe we go a couple trips and we take our time, we're more patient, and we're more diligent, and we're not making stupid mistakes, and we communicate better. Then we would succeed better. I don't know. Because there's also, they talk about the loneliness epidemic with men. And I feel like there's something there. There's something with all of these things combined. And I can't see yet. It's kind of foggy. But I think the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I research on it, it'll become more clear. And I'll be able to establish what I think the idea is, or what the problem is. And it's usually not one problem. It's usually a slew of problems. I think social media doesn't help a lot, because you could spend time doing nothing and enjoy it for longer periods of time than, I guess, back before phones. And, this is coming from a kid who's 19, who's pretty much had phones as a thing most of his life. And I think my generation, especially my grade and above, were the last people to have at least a good part of their childhood without a phone or an iPad. Like, I don't think I knew what an iPad was until I was like 11 or 12. Or, man, I'm probably younger than that. Probably like 9. But, like, most of my really, really developmental years, didn't exist. It didn't exist, or it wasn't in my house. And I gotta give props to my parents. They would always send me outside. So I think creativity-wise, socially, I think that my friends, that's definitely been like a pattern I've noticed. I think with a lot, but I think you can easily slip into what these other kids are having, and anybody could do it. They could slip into this pattern of just going on your phone, not socializing with people, and then you haven't done it in so long. Even if you have the skill set, there's this barrier of fear or of unfamiliarity because you haven't practiced it in a while. And a lot of people talk about things. A lot of people say, I'm going to start a podcast. A lot of people say they're going to do these things, but they never actually take the action to do it. And like I was saying in the last podcast, I think it's important to have that arrogance, like I was saying, and just go and do it. Have the arrogance of not knowing or not even thinking it through too much and just doing it. And then figuring it out as it comes. And I think that's the same thing with the social aspect of life too. Stop thinking about what you're going to say and just go up and say hi and figure it out and have bad experiences. Have the goal of making the interaction awful and be like, okay, yeah, let's make this first one awful so that the rest can't be as bad as this first one. And then just do the repetitive actions. I've noticed that if you keep doing repetitive actions, like once you start something, the motion, it keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. When I get sick and I stop working out for a week, getting back into working out a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder because I haven't worked out in a week. It's the same thing with any of my goals, too. I haven't worked on the book in 2 weeks. Getting back into it's going to be hard. Once I start, it's going to be easy, and then the motion's going to start going. And so that combined with doing too much, if you do too much, then you're out of practice. And if you're out of practice, it's unfamiliar. If it's unfamiliar, it's fearful. And so connecting all these things together, I think landscape-wise, do less so that you can do more consistently, so that you're more comfortable with the things you're doing consistently, so that you get better at the things you're doing consistently, and so that you succeed. Kind of a long rant. Kind of an interesting one. I want to finish with this last thing. And then I'm going to upload this in 27 minutes. And yeah. So let me finish with this last thing. I want to do a dual degree in marketing and journalism. Yeah, I know we just said don't add more stuff, but this is something I want to do. And I know my advisor is probably going to ask me, why do you want to do it? So I was like, I probably should figure out why I want to do it before I go into that appointment, so that when he asks me, I seem prepared, I seem ready. I don't seem like someone who's going to struggle with this, because I am, in the sense, doing 2 degrees. And it's a lot of work. I know it's going to be a lot of work. So I don't want to downplay it, be so righteous, so arrogant, egotistical that, oh, it's me, I can handle it. So I was like, why do I want to do journalism? And I was thinking about it. Why do I want to add this other major? Why do I add this other stress? Why do I want to gain this skill? And then I think about all the things I'm doing. I'm like, what is the core aspect of that? It's communication. Connection and communication. I really enjoy making friends. I really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy doing this podcast. I really enjoy writing. I really enjoy storytelling, coming up with ideas, being creative, branding myself. And so if you combine all of those together, the root thing is communication, like I said. And I want to, in these 4 years of college, really up the ante on my levels of communication. I want to get good at talking to people. I'm really good at talking to guys my age. I think I've got that pretty locked. I'm really good at talking to younger people. What I want to get better at is talking to adults. What I want to get better at is asking better questions, making the conversations more interesting, because I notice that sometimes the conversations can be dull. And I want to get good at talking to people that are very different to me. If I can get good at that skill, then talking to people that are similar to me, that's easy. We got this interest. Oh, we could talk about this for hours. What about someone who has virtually none of the same interest? How do I create a conversation? How do I keep it going? How do I make sure it's interesting and engaging? How do I make a friend out of that? And I've learned that that's the thing I want to do in college. That's my I guess beacon, or whatever you want to call it. That's my thing I'm heading towards. And these goals are just extensions of that. Podcast, going to get me better at asking questions. It's a practice of asking questions, of getting better at communicating, of talking, of saying less ums, likes, ands, of formulating my ideas on the fly, so that, you know, when I'm in conversations, I can also sound both intelligent, well-spoken, with clarity. That's why I want to take, there's 2 communication classes we could take. One's like an easier one, and one's a public speaking one. I'm going to take that public speaking one because I want to get better at public speaking too. I want to get better at talking to audiences. And sure, I'll take that hit to the grade, because it's the point. It's not the point of the grade. it's the point of the skills that I wanted to learn. So maybe, I won't get an A in that class because it'll be more difficult than, say, the easier communications class. But I will, at the end, have that skill. And that skill is more valuable than the grade that I'm not going to remember in 2 years. So that's kind of what I'm going to go in with and tell them, is I want to be good at really good at communicating, and I think journalism will help me with that. And I don't want to take a communications degree because I want to learn specifically that skills of journalism, of researching, of asking questions because of this podcast, because that's what I'm interested in doing, because that's an avenue I want to go down. So yes, that was today. It was a little scatterbrained. It was about focus, and there wasn't a lot of focus in it because it's a skill I'm working on. So I hope maybe there's some value extracted from this. If not, whatever. The value for me was the consistency. The value for me is posting every week. Not breaking that promise that I made to myself, proving that I can do that, post once a week. Even if the effort level is lower. Because sometimes I can give 100% when I got the time. Other times I can only give 40 or 20. And when I was sick, it was like 10. But what I can do, what I can guarantee is that I can turn on my camera for 30 minutes and talk to it and then upload it. That's what I can do. And sometimes it's not about the quality of reps, but about the consistency of them. But about just getting up and doing it. So that you don't lose the flow, like we were saying. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you made it all this way, that's insane. Please like and subscribe, because clearly you like listening to me talk for this long. I mean, I don't know why, but thank you. And I'll see you next week on Sunday.